So, good evening. What we're doing basically for this video is a continuation of the previous video for the blocks that we were building in the last video for the projects in Stratford. As you can see, we have quite a few different drawings. The block A to E, if you remember from the first video, we gave you a outline of the site. If you scrolled in, you could see we've got 5 blocks: site boundary, high street elevation, river elevation, marshgate lane elevation. Block A to this location, block B to this location, block C to this location, block D this location, and block E here. And then you have the underground car park to this location, and you've got the electrics, car park ports, and other car parking spaces in and around within the site boundaries. So what we have been doing was populating all of the WBSs with the required activities, including the full scope of works, by detailing through the actual general arrangement drawings. We've looked through the plans, we've highlighted all of these panels, included them in the scope, highlighted the anodized aluminium panels, all the anodized windows, doors, etc. And for this block here, block A, which is 18 floors, we've done the superstructure for that, which is the RC frame. That's the substrate, so it's reinforced concrete frame. As you can see, ground floor all the way down to the 18th floor, and then the roof, which would have been the lift overrun and upstands, will be in and around here. So formwork and shuttering grants first, so we'll change that to roof. Okay, decking to roof as well. Big steel, pour concrete, kill concrete to roof. And QA test. That's it. So that's quality assurance test. So that will be for the block A. If you look through block A here, we've got all of these elevations right away, and the material for these light grey colored panels is the stone render. So if you look through the light colored reconstituted stone panels, and if we showed you what the reconstituted stone panels look like, oh yeah, we've got the issue with the internet, so I'll just close that down. But yeah, so basically we have a reconstituted stone panels, these panels here, which has a bracing system braced into the substrate. Over to this location here, we have the metallic aluminium ring screen clad to these locations. To this location here, we've got the metallic PPC aluminium composite panel. So you have that right the way from ground floor all the way up to the 18th floor. We've included that in the whole scope works. That's the envelope, right? This is the structure itself, the RC frame. As you can see there, the RC frame, the superstructure. So within the envelope, you can see, I'll close those up so you can see them. We're taking time out, obviously offline, to populate it and come back on, so you don't have to sit and watch the videos for, you know, an hour, 2 hours, etc. So here we are. The sequence for block A envelope works, as can be seen, is the scaffolding goes up all the way up to 18 floors, wrapped around the building. We've got a duration for that for 3 weeks. It should be more because it's an 18-story tall building, so I'd say probably about 4.5 weeks for that. Okay, and to strike the scaffolding to all elevations will probably take you about 2.5 weeks. Okay, so this erect scaffolding, all of the works to the exterior elevations of the building, i.e. All of these panels being fitted, the light color reconstituted stone panels, the metallic PPC aluminum rain screen, metallic PPC composite panels, opaque glazing with internal lining and seal internally, which is all of these windows here, as you can see, to the external areas of the building. This is the stone panels, windows. All of these would actually, for the individual windows, will come in a window schedule. So you would get all of the drawings and you could build off of the drawings. So if you look through the elevations, you can see how many windows you have to fit. And what you would do is you would ideally request how many GANs would be required to fit one window. So once you ascertain how long that would take, you know how many windows you have throughout the whole of that elevation, and then you calculate how many windows top down you have and multiply by the amount of time it takes to fit one window, and that will give you the time required to fit all of the windows. Now when you go back into your program and you want to highlight and schedule anodized aluminium windows 545 off-white spandrel glass EPDM, we've got it on there, ground to 4th floor. So we've got 6 weeks 2 days, which 6 weeks is 30 days, sorry, 6 times 5, 30 days plus 2 days, 32 days for ground floor, 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, 4th floor. So that's 5 floors in total. So if you divide 32 by 5, that should give you how many windows per so let's just say 6 days per floor is what you're doing per window for that run. 6 days per floor. So you know it's 6 days per floor for ground floor. So you look through how many windows have you got all the way around. So you know for this floor you'll probably have less because you've got less windows, but from this floor upwards you'd know 1, 2, so that's 1 window, 2nd window, 3rd window, 4th window, 5th, 6th, 7th. So 7 windows on this elevation. If you check any of the other elevations, you count how many windows you've got there as well and just follow it round. So that will give you a rough idea of how many windows per elevation that you have. So you just follow the elevations round. Okay, it explains to you on the drawings what elevations you're looking at, the north, south, east or west, depending on the shape or the architecture of the building. Okay, so we've included for that in there. You can see how many days we've afforded for that. So the sequence generally is for the exterior works is that the as soon as you get to the roof, which is for us here the 18th would be up there, so we've got 17th floor here, and then you've got a roof with a parapet wall right to the top of that, and you'd have the lift overruns and upstand. So within the lift schedule you'll see that the core was built first and then the frame wrapped around the lift core. So what we've done here is we'll follow the sequence, which is the scaffold up to 18 floors, and then we'll hand over for the trades to come in. Okay, so depending on what the temporary works manager signs off, so he could say to you he'll sign off this elevation when you get to the 18th floor, or he'll sign off 2 elevations and then you can kick off. So they'll usually sign off per elevation, not per floor. Okay, so say for instance they sign off the north and the east elevation. As soon as those are signed off, you can start obviously by fitting the METSEC frame to those locations. Okay, so the SFS frame goes up, or METSEC SFS frame, the steel, metal steel studs. So you do the head track, the sole track, and then you do all of the studs for the windows and external doors, etc. And then as soon as the METSEC frame is done, ground to 4th floor, we're looking at a duration per floor for 32 days altogether. So you divide that by 5 floors and that will give you exactly how much it'll take per floor to wrap the building round, obviously for the METSEC steel studs. And that would also be driven by the number of GANs that are installing as well. So insulation, same thing. So you know the insulation goes between the tracks, right? and then straight after the installation of the insulation. So this insulation will be what? Rock wool, okay, or rigid insulation. So rock wool insulation, and then the CP board, which is the cement particle board, gets fitted onto the face of the Medtech steel studs. And with the CP board, it would be for the whole of the ground floor. The CP board installation, which is the cement particle board installation, will take per floor, we'd say about 11 days, floor to floor. Okay, so that would include the wrapping, so it's CP board and the Tyvek or breather membrane, CP board and breather membrane. Okay, so that wraps the building, and that's usually for waterproofing the actual CP board itself. Okay, so this will be braced and bolted or screwed into the Medtech steel frame on the runs. Okay, so you have 6 meter runs per Medtech frame inlet. Okay, so straight after that, then we start to install the aluminium anodized windows. So you're hanging the windows straight after the CP board is done, and then once you've done the windows, you do the flashing of the window sills as well, okay, which is the EPDM. So you flash the windows over, so that would run any of the water over the window sills and down out into the rainwater good pipes. Okay, so that we've estimated ground to fourth, we're looking at 6 weeks 2 days as well, so 32 days for 5 floors. You divide that again by by however many floors you have, and that will give you an idea of how many floors you're working with. Then the brickwork comes up straight after you've installed or hung the windows, and the reason for that is you hang the you start the brickwork straight after windows, so that the windows are up, and then as soon as you get the brickwork up to the windows, you would then seal in the windows and air test, so you have a watertight window. If you install do the brickwork before the windows, what happens is the windows may not necessarily fit the brickwork. You have to build the brickwork around the windows, so all the seals and the spandrels are in, and then you can flash it to behind the brickwork, and then you put the sealant or silicone sealant in and around the window sills for air tightness, water tightness, etc. Okay, and then the building's obviously watertight as soon as you install those windows. Okay, so after the brickwork, and as you can see, obviously to these elevations, elevation A, majority of the I think the exterior actually for block A is the panels. We have no brickwork for elevation A. It's all, yeah, it's the aluminium panels, so the brickwork obviously has to come out. But what we did was we created all of the WBSs first and populated or defined all our activities. The scope of block A does not have brickwork, so what we will do, as we have already done here, is we'll take out the brickwork. And what our plan was to copy through all of this work, all of the envelope works, which is all of these works for blocks B, D, B, C, D, and then block E has a different scope. That was our plan. Okay, so what we could do now is just copy through, because we know that the scope here for the brickwork is for blocks B, C, D. Okay, so for the Medtech frame, as you can see, ground to A, so we created all of these for blocks B and D. Okay, so block A has a different scope. Copy, and then we put that in there. Paste. Yep, so it's all there. Alright, so we do that, do that, close them up so you see what it is you're doing. Delete that. We do the same for block C. Paste, because the scope for BCD is the same, and the reason for that is, if you have a look at the drawings here, blocks B to D, This is block E. Blocks B to D are the same. So they have the aluminium panel to the 7th and 8th floor, the anodized aluminium panel, the light reconstituted stone rain screen, which is these panels here, and then these are the aluminium panels, and then you see from here, this is the anodized aluminium rain screen panel to these locations, and this runs right the way through the building from the 8th floor down to the ground floor. Okay, so we've included the full scope. This is the scope of the trades that you're going to have, all the components. So if you look through, we've got all of it included for blocks B to D. Okay, so we finish up with blocks D and paste, we close them up. Okay, close up, close up, close up. It does take some time, but you have to persevere because planning's not a quick job. You really have to incorporate all of the scope within the program. Okay, that's the whole idea of why you are paid a lot of money to literally build the whole sequence, include the full scope, and basically make sure you pay attention to detail. Usually off of the drawings we would do the program development, which is what we're doing now. We've managed to do this within a couple of hours, but usually you'll probably be given about 2-3 weeks to build this. Okay, but we're literally doing it as quick as possible. But the idea is, if you understand how to read the drawings, you understand the full scope, you know exactly what the building sequence is, you apply your planning knowledge, which is obviously building all of the packages under their required WBSs, which is the block B scaffolding, etc., under the envelope and under the RC frame. So if you don't understand construction, you know exactly that the usual sequence for construction is, as you can see, high level for a level 1 WBS. If we close all these up, you'll see that the full program says the key dates, mobilization, site prep, substructure, superstructure, internal fit outs and building services, plant room, external landscaping, commissioning, closeout and handover. You can see plant room because that's the externals. Okay, so if you go to the drawings, we opened up the roof schedule. There was a roof schedule highlighting the plant room as well. So this is the roof schedule. On top of the buildings, you have literally landscaping. So the main roof to blocks B, C, and D. This gives you above the 8th floor. So you know, looking at the legends, you know this is insulation. So this is rigid insulation. This is the substrate, and this is a damp proof or waterproof membrane. As you can see, permaguard protection layer, 2 coats of permaroll anti-root, incorporating permaflash reinforcement, concrete deck to be primed with Permatech primer. As you can see, before that layer is put on, then the insulation system. So if you scroll to the right, it tells you how 320 mil thick in total Enotherm insulation boards, rigid extruded polystyrene boards with high compressive strength, and that's what makes up this. And then you look at this layer here, which is most likely a stone clad, as you can see, drainage reservoir, which is drained in there and drained out. So geotextile filter membrane above, which obviously is required for the wetting of the plants. So you have like a drainage system in there that the plants will be watered, etc., and then fed off to be removed and recycled, and so self-seeded, mixed to suit, etc. So this just kind of gives you, you know, the sequence of what you will do in terms of building from the roof. So the roofing work would include all of this and the landscaping. Alright, so would also include that in the scopes for B, C, and D. So you can kind of see how, you know, the attention to detail is required when building. Okay, so where we were was the envelope, block A. Remember we said we built these for blocks A, B, C, D. We haven't included E yet. Okay, so we need to go and look at the drawings for E and see how high the building is, and that will determine obviously what the configuration or the components or the trades for the envelope. Okay, so we go back to the drawings, block E, which is this block here. increase that. We know it's ground floor, first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor. So you've got 4 floors. As you can tell up here, it says Rev P4 Block E, Pavilion Elevations. Okay, as you can see, that's Block E. You know the Block E's packages, facing brick promo prints, we don't have that. So you scroll forward, you look at the color paneling, and you can tell obviously what's what. You look at the panel, lightly color reconstituted stone panels. You go back, you scroll down, shows you all the elevations there. So you can see 5th floor, so there's a 5th floor up here. So you've got ground, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Okay, so you come back here to Block E. You know that when you create for Block E, let's delete these because they're not created yet. Okay, so Block E we've still got to come back to. Let's just get the full scope of Block E first before we populate it. Alright, so elevation behind balcony opening. What we want to do is just ascertain. So we've got brick, we've got louvers, anodized color 545, we've got opaque glazing, we've got metallic PPC composite panels, we've also got zinc interlocking panels. So that's the facade system. The cladding system is a zinc interlocking panel. So if you look at the building, this is the zinc interlocking panel, as you can see there. Scroll down, that's the area that has all of the brick, you can see. So we're looking at the building, you can see all the paneling, etc. You scroll up to this elevation, you can see that towards the lower part, which is the car park most likely, or the lower ground floor, you can see a set of stairs that brings you down to it. You've got the brick. So you scroll to the right, scroll down again, and you see what that color code there was. As you can see, it's the brick. Okay, 01. So you scroll back again, you see it's the brick all the way. But then you make sure you've got a double line there. You see double line. So you scroll back and just ascertain and make sure that the double lines are for the brick. But what you can see there, they are the louvers, because that is the louvers that have the double line. Can you see it? The double line up there. So do not mistake it for the brick, which you can actually, because looking closer to the brickwork, you can see it's also double line, but you have to scroll in. Actually it's not, so it's the louvers. So if you scroll back to that bit there, and you scroll up, what you have single, so it's the brick. Yeah, see it. So you have to make sure you scroll in just to ascertain properly. See single lines, and that's the brick. See it? And then you've got the metallic aluminium composite panel. So you know that you've got what, 5 floors for Block E, and you've seen the scope of the envelope for Block E, which is all of these. Okay, so you have the louvers. You look at the location where you have the louvers, and you know that is part of the scope that you're going to include. Just look through, the louvers are on these elevations here, so not a lot of scope, but you just still include it on the ground floor. You only have the louvers to the ground floor, which is just right there. Okay, so go back to your program, Block E. You know that you've copied all of these, the scope is similar, you copy that, come down to Block E, create an activity into Block E to make it easier for you to copy stuff into Block E's WBS. Then you highlight it, and then you paste what you copied, right? Now it's all open, you erect the scaffolding to all elevations, strike scaffolding to all elevations. This activity here will come at the end of all of these packages when you've installed all the paneling, etc. Then you strike the scaffolding, okay, after building control have come and inspected. All right, so MedSec frame, we've got ground to 4th, but it will be ground to 5th. okay, because we've ascertained we have 5 floors, right? So that's fifth floor, and we don't have 5th to 8th, so we delete that. Okay, and then we look at the same thing, we delete that as well, rock wool insulation, because we only have 5 floors. So copy that, copy, paste. Alright, so the reason why we're using Asta is because Asta is quicker to develop, but we're going to switch back as soon as we finish building back into P6 to show you the functionalities from a planning perspective of P6, because I believe that P6 obviously is a bit more robust than Asta. But I will show you a switch between P6 and Asta just to do a comparison, so you know how to use the functionalities on both software systems and see the differences as well, or the ease of building, the ease of use, and how complex challenges from a programming perspective, scheduling perspective, and performance measurement perspective, we can see both planning tools and how obviously it affects. Okay, so we've done ground to 5th on that, and we come back here, we only have ground to 5th for the CP board and breather membrane. So what we'll do is from 6th and 7th we delete it right there. So we've deleted that. We do the same here as well. We change this to 5th floor, and then we delete this as well. So remember, we've got the anodized aluminium panels and off-white window spandrels. So we don't have brickwork. We did have brickwork actually, but we've also got the louvers. We have the anodized cladding panels as well. So these panels, obviously we've got only 7th to 8th for here, but we've got the panels from top to 5th. This is the aluminium cladding panel. So we go back to the actual scope. The aluminium cladding panel is not what we have here. We've got the iodized zinc interlocking panels, which makes up majority. So that would be ground to 5th. So we come back here. We don't have the anodized. So here we actually, what we'll do is we've got the anodized aluminium rain screen panel, but all we just do is change that scope into this one here, the zinc interlocking panel. Okay, copy that off, come back here and you paste it. Okay, zinc interlocking panel, and you have that from 1st to 2nd, 3rd to 4th, 5th, and yeah, so yeah, we'll just do 3rd to 5th on this one.
There's also something on there called a setback. The zinc interlocking panel setback.
Yeah, setback is just setback onto, because it bends. Okay. The architecture of the building bends around, so the setbacks are usually obviously what will bend around. Okay. Yeah, so 1st, 2nd, so this will be 3 point, obviously floor to floor. If 1st to 2nd is 1.5 weeks, this will be 4.5 weeks. Okay, so 4.5 weeks for that, 1st to 2nd, 3rd to 5th. Okay, 7th to 8th has to go because obviously we don't have any iodized aluminium panels, do we? No, we don't. So that needs to go. This WBS needs to go because we don't have it. Okay, then brickwork. We've only got brickwork to the ground floor. Okay, so we scroll back, we scroll up, and we've only got brickwork to this floor here. It's a part of the ground floor. Yeah, it's a part of the below the ground floor, more or less. Okay, so we know we're gonna have it on this elevation and the other elevation that is directly adjacent to it. Okay, so we know brickwork is only ground floor. We delete all of this because you don't have brickwork all the way up. Okay, and we delete that as well because it's blank. So we've got the full scope in there. Anodized aluminium windows. We go back, we check, we know for the windows it tells us what the window schedule is. Aluminium enclosed balcony screen, anodized color, we've got that. Aluminium thermally broken window, anodized color, we've got that. So we've included for that ground floor to 5th floor 6 weeks 2 days. Okay, because obviously it will take the same amount of time to fit the windows, obviously because they're all of the same size, etc. Yeah, so same type, same size, etc. and same configuration. All right, so that's that. We've done that. Now what we want to do is for this block E, we want to link all the activities. So the erect scaffold into all elevations, we will start all of the work when say for instance we scaffold 2 elevations and then we hand it over, so we've got 4 elevations obviously on that building. We'll say half the time here we'll start the METSEC framing. So reason for that is as soon as we hand over 2 elevations of scaffolding, they can start putting the METSEC frame. Alright, so we'll say this duration here is 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks. If we start it at 2 weeks, 1 day, yeah, so this is from over here, you just know it's there to there is 2 weeks and a day. Alright, and you just literally pull it down and do that. Alright, and you delete the original link that was there because we copied it down. And then we've done that link. We know that the rock wall will be installed the same time the SFS frame is being installed as well. Okay, so they can literally be start to start. Then you look at the CP board gets installed as the SFS frame is going up. So you know that this is ground to fifth. So each floor will take ground to fifth is 6 floors divided as 6 days per floor. So you'd say that after 6 days you can start installing the ground floor METSEC. The ground floor CP board and breather membrane. Okay, so what we would do is decrease that, and we'll say after 6 days we can start that. So that will be the rock wall. We could do either the METSEC or the rock wall because they both start to start. So we'll say the rock wall because it has to be installed after the rock wall. So we'll do a start to start with that relationship, meaning that when this starts, this can start, but the catch is we said we want it to start 6 days after. So it's a start to start. You click on the actual link, it will bring up this window where it has details of the relationship links, which you can clearly see there. Link type, start to start, link category, normal. Forget all this. The main thing you need to concentrate on is the link type, and you go to the link start, it tells you what activity precedes it as a predecessor and what activity succeeds it. So you can see the link start ground to 5th floor, which is this activity for rock wall, that is its predecessor. And you know obviously this link start is start to start with rock wall. So we wanted a 6-day lag in there, right? Meaning that, I'll show you in a minute, meaning that it can start 6 days after the start of this. So start to start plus 6 days. Okay, you see, and then these just follow on, because after you finish ground floor, you do the first floor, then the second floor, third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor. So the activity relationships between these activities is finish to start all the way. Okay, so if you click on this activity here, it just means that the ground floor needs to finish before the first floor can start. If you go back to your critical path method, when we did the forward pass, backward pass, you know that the different relationship types that you usually get in programs, the two most important ones will be start to start and finish to start. But make sure that obviously you're mimicking the exact sequence of how the work is actually going to be done. So the trick with the start to start just basically means that if an activity starts on Thursday and its successor activity can start on the same day, you have a start to start relationship. But then if you want the successor activity to start a couple of days later, you stagger it using a lag. So you could say on Monday, activity ground floor starts, and you want the first floor to start 3 days later on Wednesday, you'll do a start to start plus the 3 days, meaning Monday plus 3 days. So the first activity ground floor will be starting Monday, but then you've put in a relationship that the successor activity will start 3 days later. Okay, and that's literally how it runs. And you know, just to see what that looks like, you just schedule it so it can do the calculations for you, and that arranges it based on the logic that we have put in there. Now if you look at this activity here, as we said, rock wall installation, ground floor to 5th floor, we said we wanted it to what? Start to start 6 days later with ground floor. So if you look at the dates, this starts on the 4th.
No. So it's April 24th.
Okay, so let me change, let me change that. Format cells, date and time. We want it not American, we'd like it to be
Completely shows in there.
It's changed. I don't know why it's done that. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, so this is easier. Okay, so April 24th this starts, and this successor activity line item number 39 starts on the 2nd of May, meaning it just starts 6 days later. So you can see from this grid here, this is April the 24th, this is the 23rd, and if you scroll down it comes to the 24th, and this here is what, the 2nd of May. Look over, just extrapolate the line up, and you can see it falls what, on the 2nd of May, literally between the 30th, 1st, 2nd. Okay, and if you wanted to show that, if you wanted to read it off of here, you can ideally just see through the grid, but what you could do is you can go to the format and you go to the grids. As you can see there, elapsed day, but we haven't got the elapsed day on. We can turn it on if you want it to be doubly sure, so you know. We apply it, and then the software tool gives you the elapsed date, and we close that. As you can see each of these line to line represents a day. So if you start from April the 30th to the 7th, you can see 1 day, 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, 5th day. See, working days up to the 7th, you see. So that's how you know that this here, if you start from here, you've got day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and that starts right there in essence. So that is literally how you look at it. Okay, and there we go. So we're building. So what I would do is I will stop the video and come back to you when we've fully built the program, and then we'll export it out of Asta back into P6, and then do a comparison between the two software systems, and just basically build on Asta, build on P6, build on Asta, build on P6, so you can follow the differences with the functionality on both of the software tools. Okay, thank you very much for this video, and look forward to demonstrating the subsequent videos after this. Cheers guys.